What's up, everyone? This week's episode is about mental health and getting right with yourself up here. So tune in. What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Concise Conversation. So today I'm here with my two friends, Jess and Sam, and we're going to be going over our journey with mental health and kind of like what we do to, just get through the day. So starting off with Jess, I met Jess through BB, which you guys saw in the cat episode. So do you remember how you met me, Jess?
It was also through BB, of course. And then you came over to the apartment.
Right.
And we were just, chilling.
Yeah, we were chilling. Yeah. So Sammy, do you remember how you met me?
Yes, I do. Okay, we met at freshman orientation.
Tell the story.
He was honestly the first person I met when I came to UC, because we were in the same orientation group. And yeah, the rest is history.
Yeah, I remember Sammy, the first time I met Sammy, it was at like this little orientation party that we had. I was doing my thing, like whatever. And Sammy was out here dancing too, doing her thing, so it was lit. So I guess we're just gonna jump right into it. So starting off, the first question is kind of like a double-ended question, but when did you first become aware or conscious of your mental health?
This I vividly remember. It was October, my junior year of high school. I had my very first really bad breakdown, and then after that, it was just those kind of common depression symptoms that I kind of noticed in myself. Not eating, sleeping way too much, not doing my homework, all of that. So that's when I started noticing it, because the symptoms were very sudden and very noticeable. A lot of people around me noticed.
Dang. So you were saying it was very visible in your daily life?
Very, yeah.
Dang, okay, for sure. And what was your journey with becoming conscious with your mental health?
For sure. I think with me, I started realizing that mental health was a thing or important or something that really affects your moods and stuff. When I started getting anxious, just anxiety. So when I started having more panic attacks, I was like, what is this? What's happening? Because it's scary, what the fuck is going on? But so that happened in high school, maybe junior year, sophomore year, around that time.
For sure. I would say that I feel like I've been pretty, I guess you could say, lucky in terms of mental health, because I would say I'm not a very anxious person. I don't really have panic attacks. But I would say I'm also privileged in the way that, when I was growing up, my mom was very conscious about mental health, and she would always ask, at the time it was very annoying, because she would always ask me, are you depressed, or are you sad? And back then I was like, bro, I'm not sad. Why are you asking me this? But looking back, I'm that was very good that she did that, and kind of just got us in the state of talking about your emotions, because you should be doing that, So kind of going into the second part of that question, how was mental health talked about in your family household?
Has never been talked about to this day.
Dang.
One time I got called into my high school had a counselor, a therapist on site. So I was called into there, and then I was just breaking down a really bad day. So I got sent home. They called my mom. First thing my mom said to me was, "Are you pregnant?" I said,
Wait a minute, what?
And that wasn't it. And then the therapist was like, "No, I think it's just depression and other shit, other stuff. You should go to the doctors." My parents kind of refused to believe that. So instead they were like, "Okay, we're gonna get blood tests, see if there's something actually biologically or wrong with you." Wasn't the case. So I let them believe it was that.
Right.
So to this day they don't know any about it.
Yeah. So looking back on kind of how they never really brought that conversation about, how do you think that's affected you now?
It's affected me a lot. I think a lot of my issues, depression wise, and a lot of the overthinking does stem back to my family. I love my family. I'm very grateful. I grew up very privilege and stuff. It's just that one part
Right.
really affected me a lot.
Definitely. And how about you, Sammy?
For sure. I think with me, it was never really talked about growing up. I mentioned before, I didn't really know what mental health was and stuff. It's not that I don't think my family cared about, like, how I was feeling and stuff, but it was just never explicitly, like, talked about, like, depression or anxiety and all of that. So it was really new to me when I started experiencing it, and I had no idea, like, what was going on. And also, like, I remember, like, my dad, or, like, my parents, like, kind of experienced a panic attack with me, but, like, it was just never brought up after that. It's like it never happened. So it was just like these discussions never happened at home, or like so yeah, it was never talked about. And I think that kind of pushed me to kind of where I am now, like continuing to like learn about mental health and what that means, and like and I think that's why I have a little brother, so I like try to start talking to him more and asking him questions, because like it's not that our family don't care and stuff, it's just like not really talked about.
Yeah. So would you say that conversation, like those conversations, have become more normal in your house now?
I think so, because like I started bringing it up a little more, because I don't know like if anyone in my family has like gone I know like some people in my family have gone through it, but like specifically like my parents and stuff. So just like these conversations are new. Obviously sometimes I don't try to go like way
deep into how
like I'm depressed. No. But it's just like just bringing it up here and there, like making it known that like I go through shit mentally.
Yeah, I feel like awareness is like the biggest key to like solving these mental health issues.
Really is.
Because like if you don't know what the issue is, or you don't have any knowledge about what people are going through, like there's no way that you can solve it, you know?
That's
Do you agree with that?
I agree with that wholeheartedly. So.
I agree. So, let's see. So where do you think you're at in your mental health journey right now?
Right now, I am definitely better than where I usually am.
Nice.
I would say the depression has kind of, I guess, calmed down a little bit, or I've kind of just figured out a way to like deal with it that's healthy. My anxiety, though, has definitely gotten worse, and that's what's new to me, and I'm still trying to figure that out.
Okay,
so,
for sure.
I'm not good, I'm not bad, I'm kind of just in the middle.
Right. So, kind of like follow-up, what tips would you give someone like dealing with mental health to like kind of start their journey of overcoming it?
That's a good question. One thing is to realize that it's okay to not be okay.
Right.
Because once you realize that, I feel like you'll be like, okay, what are the steps I need to take to feel better, to get better? Personally, the way I handled that is I took a lot of time alone with myself to kind of figure myself out. I would paint in my room, blasting some Jhené Aiko.
Nice.
I would go for some drives, again, blasting some Jhené Aiko. You know, it's okay to simp. It's
right.
fine.
Hell yeah.
So I just did little things like that, and then eventually it kind of got easier and like better in a way.
Definitely.
So I think that's my tip.
Definitely. I would say like following up with that, I would say it's one day at a time. Like you're not just gonna jump from being not okay to okay, you know, but definitely taking it one day at a time and realizing, knowing yourself. Like I really like that you brought that up. Like you really have to know yourself in order to overcome these issues, because you're the only person who can solve them at the end of the day. So to you, how what's your mental health journey at right now?
For sure. I'm like where Jess, I'm like in the middle. I'm kind of opposite from her. Like I'm usually really anxious. I had a lot of it. I had a lot of anxiety, and I still kind of do. But like I learned how to like deal with it, or see like what really bothers me or triggers me and stuff. But now I'm also like depressed, so it's just like that's something new that's to me. So like sometimes it's just hard to like get out of bed. Like you just want to stay in there, you don't want to do anything, you sleep, like you're sad, you don't know why. It's just like I guess it's different for everyone, but there's like a lot of things that like I'm just experienced that I've never had before.
It's new to you.
Yeah, so a bitch started therapy. Let's go!
Let's go!
I really want to say that. Therapy is okay. I highly recommend going to therapy, talking to a professional, somebody who studied this. I also just started going to therapy, so
nice. I actually went to therapy too.
Exactly. So you know,
what's kind of like your biggest tip for someone who's overcoming anxiety?
I think going off of like what y'all were saying is kind of or not with just anxiety, but mental health in general, is like growing a relationship with yourself. I think that like growing up, I was just myself and like I'm me, but I never really knew what that meant to me. And I'm just like, who am I? Like, what do I like? What don't I like? And I like love surrounding myself around a lot of people.
Right.
And I think that like, especially with the pandemic, like I was forced to like be alone, and I think that's what really like maybe took a really big toll on me. So I was forced to be by myself, and I was like, damn, I really like don't really have a relationship with myself. So just like learning who you are, I guess, and like being okay with being alone.
Definitely.
I think that like helped for me.
But
and also just remembering like even getting out of bed is like an accomplishment.
Like,
to not be like too hard on yourself and like find things that like you enjoy to do. I think hobbies like journaling and like really like being in tune with your feelings. I think a lot of the time I'm just like, no, like I hate feelings, which I still am, and still practice and stuff, but it's like it's okay to be sad when you're sad. Don't try to like cover it up and pretend to be happy. Like cry it out like you're chilling, you know.
I agree. I would say also adding on to that, like creating your identity is definitely like a lifelong process. Like it's not you just have your identity and that's what it is. So like just getting to know yourself and really building that relationship with yourself is just an important step, like just in life. So kind of like transitioning into the next question, how's your mental health changed, like transition from high school life to college?
All right, let me just say that's just different.
It's very
mental health in college is very different because at least at UCR, we all go to UCR. So here, usually most students will rent houses after their first year. And coming with that, you have all these bills to pay. You're entering the adulting world. We have utilities, we have rent. I gotta pay for my gas, groceries, learn how to cook, all of that. So that was a really big stressor on top of the other stuff that used to stress me out. Like school alone is already very stressful. And like other like internal issues, you know, the overthinking, self-doubt, any of that. So I think the difference between before college and now is that, I don't know, I'm still trying to figure it out. It's hard. Like I think I'm still kind of taking the same process I took in high school, you know, still trying to find myself again because, you know, now I'm a lot more independent. I'm doing things a lot differently, so I'm still in the process of trying to like figure out myself and what I like to do. Other than that, that's all I can say. I'm still in the process.
Yeah,
so.
I agree. I feel like I didn't start feeling anxious or really anxious. I don't really get depressed, but like anxious for sure about things until I got to college. Like I feel like it's like college is just very like overwhelming at times, where it's just a lot of things coming at you all at once, and it's like very hard to deal with it because we're not taught how to deal with it in high school. Like I feel like high school is very based on like core curriculum or whatever. It's like, but we're not learning life skills, which is like what you need going into college.
Like there's so much I had to learn myself. I'm like, I should have been taught this. These bills and like, how do I turn on the utilities? I was like, how do I do that? I didn't know you had to turn it on. I thought it just turned on. You know, you live and you learn.
So how would you say your transition has been?
I think like going off of the last conversation,
go ahead.
Education needs to be reformed. Like
definitely.
We should be taught all of this shit. Like just dealing with emotions, we act like it doesn't exist in school. We just go to school, learn things, but we don't really get intimate, have these conversations, and I think that's important because it's real. But going off of your conversation.
Go on.
Wait, going off of your question. Okay, transitioning from high school to college. I think it was very hard for me, not just mentally in general, but just life. Just moving out of like the house, like getting away from like your home environment. Obviously college is different for everyone, whether like you stayed home or not, and also just like Jess mentioned, like the responsibilities, that varies for everyone too. But for me, I think just, I don't know, I love my family, so being away from them was like really hard, but I think that made me more independent. But that came with a lot of like self-discovery too, and more like me time and trying to figure shit out. And I'm not sure how that affected me mentally a lot, but I know that like I kept close people like Najja around, and like I feel like I have a family here and a support system, and I think that I'm just grateful for that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love y'all.
Nah, me too.
I love you.
We out here.
Yeah.
So kind of transitioning into like our next question. So you're a part of an organization called CARE on campus. Can you kind of give us an intro on like
what it is
what it
and
is?
stuff. So CARE, it's an office on campus. If y'all don't know, if you go to UCR, it would be like cool if you utilize it and stuff, because we have like two parts to our campus. Our office. We have the advocacy part and the education part. So everyone at UCR has like an actual advocate. And if you go through anything regarding like stalking or like relationship violence or any like type of sexual violence and stuff, we're a non-confidential resource. So if you want to talk to someone about it but want it to be confidential, you have an advocate you can go to talk to about. They're not like mandated reporters or anything. So like, and they'll provide you with resources that you might want to use after, like Title IX or like different offices. So that's the advocacy part. And then the education part, we have like different peer group organizations, and we try to like raise educate, I guess, our students about these issues like stalking, mental health, or like relationships, healthy relationships and stuff. So yeah, like what we were talking about, like having more of these conversations with students on campus.
Nice.
So if y'all want to follow us at UCR Care, I think. Yeah,
nice,
UCR
for
Care.
sure. I love that, for sure. I feel like, again, there's so many student organizations here at UCR that don't get the recognition that they deserve, and CARE is definitely one of them. They're doing a lot of amazing work, so go check them out, for sure. All right, that's all we have for you today. Thank you guys for tuning in, and this is Concise Conversation. Peace!
Yeah. Bye.
Jess, hurry. Najja, we love you so much. You want to go get chairs, so I just wanted to make a little video. This is Chata. Well, y'all already know. Okay, you're coming.